Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 2021 My Team career mode for the 5th round of the championship in Austria. Austria, the Red Bull Ring, has always been one of my favourite circuits, so hopefully we're in for a good race here today. Maybe we can score a few more of those points. So here we go then into qualifying and in Q1, and we should realistically be able to get out of Q1. We should easily have pace over Haas, Alfa Romeo and Williams at the moment, and we do just that, down in 14th position, but through into Q2 nonetheless. So that is a job done. In Q1, unfortunately, our teammate not so lucky, and he qualifies down in about 19th position. So yeah, just ahead of Latifi, Schumacher and Mazepin. So yeah, he was unfortunate. He had better pace than that in practice, but unfortunately did not translate into qualifying. So we continue on then into Q2, and now is where things really count. So let's see what we can do on this lap as we get started and get ready for probably our most important session. I doubt we'll get into Q3, so this is where it counts in terms of qualifying. We come towards the final few corners now, and we'll see where this lap puts us on the table as we come across the line, and we will find out in a few moments. They really like to build up the intensity. They don't tell you straight away like they used to, and we just have to wait for the screen to come up at the end of qualifying, and we are knocked out in 14th position. So we did beat our we did beat all the teams that we should be beating, with Kimi Räikkönen down in 16th. We also beat Lance Stroll in qualifying, so I'll take that. This is about where we should be. We may just be able to fight the Aston Martins. They seem to be lacking a bit of pace this weekend, as well as the AlphaTauris both getting knocked out. So yeah, that is not good signs for either of those two teams. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out in the race. But we should be able to fight, I reckon. So let's see what we can do.
Welcome to the beautiful Styrian Mountains for another chapter in the story of the Austrian Grand Prix. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill turn 3. A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who's beside me in the commentary box today. Now, can I get your take on Max Verstappen? That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Ricciardo, Sergio Perez and Leclerc, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda, Hamilton, Vettel, the Scientist and Stroll, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, George Russell and Nobuharu Matsushita. Latifi, Ocon, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Mick Schumacher and Nikita MAZEPIN. And now it's time to head down to the track.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
So here we are on the grid then for the Austrian Grand Prix. The strategy will be 2 sets of medium tyres to the softs, and we have been elevated up the grid somewhat, just by 1 position. There was a grid penalty, a few grid penalties, one for Lewis Hamilton. I'm not sure who was penalised. That allowed us to sneak further up the grid, but yeah, so a number of grid penalties starting to creep in this season, and they will probably only get more frequent as we head through the races. We're only at round 5, so people taking grid penalties now, that's not a good sign for their reliability throughout the season. But anyway, it looks like it was Esteban Ocon who gave us that position by taking a grid penalty as we were looking there. But yeah, we're going to be starting on the medium tyres. Looks like it will be a popular strategy, so it'll be an interesting one to see how it plays out versus the cars starting on softs. But now we get ready to go to the 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the Austrian Grand Prix, and it's a brilliant start versus the 2 cars ahead of us, and we immediately overtake Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel as we go down the outside of Yuki TSUNODA, and we're going to get the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz as well as we head up towards turn 3 in the slipstream of Pierre Gasly, who is trying to keep competitive and fight alongside Alonso, who just gets ahead. Now we go down the inside and we might grab both positions here, and we will just about get alongside Fernando Alonso, and he gives us some room on the apex, and we get past both of them and move ourselves up into 7th position. It's been an absolutely brilliant start to this Austrian Grand Prix, and we've moved our way up from 13th on the grid to 7th. We've gained 6 places in 3 corners. That is absolutely perfect, and we have put ourselves in a fantastic position to score points in this race if we can hold on to this. We're on the medium tyres, we're going to have soft tyres at the end, so any safety cars later on will also help us, and we are already actually stretching away from Fernando Alonso, so we may have some decent pace to boot, as well as good track position, which is more important than anything else. But that is the first lap in the books, and we have found ourselves in a great place, 7th position. Here's a replay of the start from off board. You can see Valtteri Bottas there getting away well versus Max Verstappen, who was on the front row alongside. But look at the start from us, laid on the brakes round the outside, and yeah, we just managed to continuously find the open doors around the circuit that the other drivers were leaving for us, and managed to maximize the opportunities there on the opening lap, and that helped us gain all of those positions. Unfortunately, we don't have the same pace as the cars around us, and that is Fernando Alonso through. But Pierre Gasly potentially struggling with fuel. That's no good for him, because you can't save it by using lean mix. Now you have to lift and coast. But anyway, we are going to try and come back at Fernando Alonso down the inside into turn 4, but we go too deep, and Alonso's back through, as well as Pierre Gasly, and we've just lost those 2 positions we gained at turn 3 on lap 1, and we'll have to watch out soon for Lewis Hamilton, who is also behind us as we rush into the next section of corners a little bit too quickly. And now Hamilton's on the inside, and he gets through as well, but we got a nice run on the exit. Can we get back up the inside of Lewis Hamilton into the final 2 corners? We've got a bit of an overlap coming, and we're trying to get up the inside, and Hamilton leaves us the room, but we just can't stay side by side with a Mercedes through fast corners like that, and Hamilton stays ahead as we struggle to drive in a straight line. And now we need to watch out for Yuki TSUNODA behind, as well as look forward to Gasly and Alonso, just in case they start fighting, and we may have an opportunity. But we actually stay competitive with Hamilton as he's held up by the fighting Gasly and Alonso. We re-overtake Hamilton as he is held up by the 2 of them, so that is a great bit of pace from us there just for a moment, as everyone else were holding each other up. But eventually Hamilton will of course re-overtake us as Gasly and Alonso still continue to fight. Round the outside goes Pierre Gasly, Alonso on the inside, Gasly out on the curb, gets a decent amount of grip out there though as we're fighting side by side with Lewis Hamilton, and it looks like Pierre Gasly will hold on to that position, and we will drop in behind Hamilton, but go back up the inside and retake the position as Alonso gets back past Gasly. So this fight between the 4 of us is very much a back and forth, and it could go in any direction at this point, because now as we continue on, Gasly and Alonso fighting again. We've got just enough space ahead of Hamilton. We can now go for the move on Alonso down the inside, and we get it done. Nice bit of traction on the exit, very careful on the accelerator when you're coming out of that corner so slowly, but we get ahead of Fernando Alonso, and now catch up to Pierre Gasly. And now we're going to go for the move down the inside into turn 4, and we've practiced this one, and this time we get it right, get it stopped, get the car turned, get the power down nicely, and get ahead of Pierre Gasly and move ourselves back up and into 7th position, and finally regain those places we lost earlier on in the race. And now as we look further back, Hamilton, I don't know when it happened, but he's got a little bit of damage to his front wing, and that is Carlos Sainz, and that's a lot of damage to his front wing. Hamilton into the pits, Sainz straight into the back of him, and that is a huge issue for Carlos Sainz. But back to my previous point, I don't know where Hamilton got front wing damage from, but he did, and now he is in the pits and gets that front wing replaced, as well as getting a new set of tyres on. So that is not a great moment in his race, and that will ruin his chance of coming back for a podium. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly gets back past us, and we have to give up that position. But Carlos Sainz completely losing his front wing. Here he is just behind us, and he's got a Williams and an Aston Martin who's having a major issue there. Smoke pouring out of the back of the Aston Martin car. That is Lance Stroll, who now pulls over out of the race. So there is a whole bunch of chaos unfolding behind all this lot. Kimi Raikkonen, my teammate Nobuharu Matsushita, and Mick Schumacher in the Haas, all involved as well. Absolute chaos here down at turn 3, but it looks like it's starting to resolve itself. But now Mick Schumacher still stuck behind Carlos Sainz, who's driving around incredibly slowly with no front wing, but Schumacher not able to find a way through. It's an absolute disaster for him. He's losing so much time in this race behind Carlos Sainz, who himself needs to make a pit stop, obviously, to get a new front wing on the car, because currently he does not have one, and he has nothing holding the front tyres down to the ground, and he makes a very slow entry into the pit lane to get that front wing replaced on the Ferrari as the crew go to work and put that new wing on the car, and he is free to leave and get back into the race once again. But here's the onboard with Carlos Sainz to see the incident as it happened, and yeah, he just misjudged that as Hamilton was coming into the pits. This is Yuki TSUNODA passing Carlos Sainz down into the first corner. He got away with this pretty well and was able to continue on without being held up too much. But this is on board with Lance Stroll, as he was having an engine failure as all this was going on. He was thinking about going up the inside of Carlos Sainz as Russell was going around the outside, and then Stroll just completely misjudged the braking point there. He was already having an engine issue at that point, I think, and he is out of the race with a mechanical failure. And this is the onboard with George Russell, and the contact with Lance Stroll was pretty significant, so Russell may have some damage as well in this race, but you can see he was able to continue on with no major issues. But as we continue on, that is Fernando Alonso getting past us as we are beginning to lose pace as the tyre wear our tyres seem to be wearing out maybe a bit more than the cars around us, and we're sort of losing that edge, or not really the edge, but we sort of had equal pace for a while, but now we're sort of starting to lose out, and that is Fernando Alonso through and ahead of us, and we drop down into 9th position as things stand in this race. But something else worth mentioning is there's quite a few different strategies unfolding in this race. Some people are on 3 stops, which is also just worth noting, but we actually have a good run there out of the final sector as we head towards the final 2 corners down the inside of Fernando Alonso. We missed the apex by a mile, but it doesn't matter because we're through, and we get back ahead of Fernando Alonso and up into 8th position once again, and reclaim that place. But we continue on lap 21, and that is now Lando Norris going down the inside. We're running quite long in this race versus most of the cars around us, which is why we are currently up in 4th position. So that is the positions we have gained by not stopping quite so early. So that's what I mentioned, we're doing less pit stops than the cars around us, so we are potentially fighting for a higher position than what it initially looked like. Meanwhile, this is Nikita MAZEPIN coming into the pits, and that is one way of exiting the pit lane. He got a warning for crossing the pit lane exit line. That's how I found out that this strange little moment happened, but yeah, Haas clearly investing in some teleportation technologies to help them find some pace around the circuit, because they can't seem to find any downforce on that car, unfortunately. We continue on. There goes Sergio Perez. We're not going to fight him. We probably let him pass a little too easily, but we don't want to get involved in any incidents because we are in an absolutely fantastic position. We're coming in for our first pit stop now, and we're in 5th place. So we only have 1 stop left after this one, and we're running in the top 5. So yeah, we're in a really great place in this race. So the key thing is just to make it to the end with good pace, and we should bring home a whole bunch of points. So into the pits we go, get another set of the medium compound tyres on so we can run the softs at the end of the race. And now we push on once again, and we drop down into 10th, but that is as low as we're going to get for the rest of the race, because we've got new tyres now, we've got the soft tyres coming at the end. We'll be able to put on an absolute charge.
Don't panic just yet, but we've seen a problem at our end. We're looking into it.
Oh dear, that sounds a little ominous for my liking. In what could be one of our best races of the season so far, we have potentially got an issue with our power units, and if that is the case, we may be compromised for the rest of the race. We may even have to retire the car, and that is not ideal.
Okay, we have a severe engine issue. Find a safe space to retire or return to the pits.
And there it is. We have to retire the car.
This is serious. We need you to retire as soon as possible.
Look at all that smoke coming out the back now. This is a major issue that we've had with our power unit. Smoke absolutely pouring out the back, and we have to retire. We don't have any other choice. And that is the end of this Austrian Grand Prix for us. It's an absolute disaster of a race. After what looked so promising, we are out with a mechanical failure. Nothing we can do about it. And that is it.
And Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So, Valtteri Bottas wins the Austrian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen finishes up in 2nd position with Daniel Ricciardo in 3rd.
And now let's take a look at the drivers' standings. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
Let's give it to Esteban Ocon. That was a commanding performance today, very impressive indeed.
Let's move on to the constructors. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
And here is what it looked like from the off-board then. You can see how much smoke was coming out the back of the car. That is quite ridiculous. We actually had someone following us there. I believe that was actually Lewis Hamilton, who would have got a face full of smoke, and he surely would not have appreciated that. But there you have it. That is how the cookie crumbles for this Austrian Grand Prix, and yeah, I am really disappointed with this. We had such a good chance of getting good points today, and that has all gone down the drain. Here's the onboard from Lewis Hamilton, and you can just see the smoke. Lucky we were a little bit offline there, he couldn't see a thing. But yeah, absolute disaster for us. But anyway, as we continue to look through Lance Stroll out of the race as well. He had a mechanical issue, but yeah, Matsushita finishing up in 17th, so it's not bad for him. I think that's either his best or equal to his best result, but still not really where I'd want him to be. Ideally, he should be ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi there, so yeah, that was unfortunate. Esteban Ocon got the driver of the day, even though he only finished 13th, but I guess he started 20th, so yeah, fair I suppose, but there was a fair bit of chaos that helped him gain at those positions. But yeah, just didn't really go our way today, unfortunately. But anyway, we'll be able to move on from this and hopefully achieve a bit more next time. But
bad luck today. That must be incredibly disappointing. It looked like you had a few mechanical hiccups during that race.
yeah, we had to retire the car, unfortunately, during that one, but it's just the way it goes with these issues. Happen from time to time, and we'll just have to recover from it and make up for the points lost in the next race, hopefully. So yeah, we'll have to look into it, see what the cause was.
You lost to your teammate today. Was it just not your day?
No, it wasn't my day, clearly, with the car failing.
It must be crushing when something goes wrong that's entirely out of your control.
Yeah, it is. It's frustrating, but these things happen, like I said, and we'll just have to move on. Bit of character building, of course, this weekend, and yeah, we'll try and do better next time out, and hope that so long as the car can last the race, we should be back on form.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Thank you, Claire. Well, there we have it. With that DNF, I think this rivalry with Pierre Gasly that we were already losing is a lost cause now. 8-16, we're not getting those points back. We do get a bunch of team acclaim from that event still, so that's nice. Matsushita levels up into level 7 acclaim. We're still on level 5, so he's the more popular driver still at the moment. We don't get our sponsor bonus, unfortunately.
We may need to shut down facilities for a while to cut down our running costs.
So we got a department event to deal with in the personnel department. We can run a program for one-to-one sessions for staff members, improve mental health, blah blah blah, and we get 750 resource points for $50,000. I will take that any day of the week.
Not an easy decision, but you handled it well. Thanks.
So with that out of the way, we move on to the activity timeline. We're going to go for the supplier HQ tour to boost acclaim. We're going to go for the vehicle PR filming, again boosting acclaim. Driver promotion filming, again boosting acclaim. And second driver external training to help out our teammate with his focus. Also, Jeff's trying to tell me I had a surplus of fuel at the end of the last race. Of course I did, I only made half distance. On a slightly more positive note, the team did figure out what went wrong with the car, and that will help them with developments in the future, and that has earned us 200 resource points. We've also got this email, which gives us another 200 resource points. I assume it's not a double up, because the way it's worded sounds like a different issue, but it says we ran into an ERS fault. I can't remember if we had one of those issues in practice or qualifying. I did record this quite a while ago, but anyway, yeah, we had an ERS fault, and we can reduce the chances by investing in the power unit. The other email said by investing in the durability, so I assume this is a different issue that we ran into. Potentially, one of those things as you load into practice or qualifying, it comes up with a little message at the bottom of the screen saying you've got an issue. I assume it's maybe one of those, I'm not sure, but either way, we had this ERS issue and it earned us another 200 resource points, so I will certainly take that. Speaking of investing in the power unit, we did just have an ignition systems upgrade come in, but the ICE durability upgrade fails, so we're going to have to redevelop that one, and that will come in a little bit later than originally planned, but it's no big deal. It's durability, so it's important, but it's not going to affect our overall pace. And I think in terms of the ICE units, I think we'll be okay in terms of durability if we don't have any failures. If we do, then it'll get a little bit tight with the wear. But yeah, assuming we don't have any failures on the ICE, we should be fine. All the other components relatively okay. The part that failed, I might as well mention that now, was the control electronics. So we only get 2 of those, and it is probably the fastest wearing part, as we are looking at what we want to invest in the power unit side now that we have a free development space, and we're just looking around to see what the options are. But yeah, we're going to need to invest in the power unit and the durability, because we don't want any of these faults cropping up again. So hopefully that is the last one we have for the season, round 5 of 16. So the odds aren't great that we won't have another issue like that, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we can get through at least the next few rounds without any issues and get some decent points on the board once again. But you can see working on the car and getting more power unit upgrades on when they come in, getting more in development, I should say. But yeah, we've run out of resource points and run out of development space for the time being. We need more simultaneous developments and faster build times, because we did not run out of resource points. We have way too many for what we can actually spend at the moment. But there you can see at the bottom the number 1 control electronics has failed, and that is now on 99% wear, and it is dead. We cannot use it any longer, and we need to swap in the second component. Like I said, it's the fastest wearing component, the control electronics, it seems, or at least of the ones you only get 2 of. So we need to be very careful with the second one, that we don't have any issues with it, and we more than likely will need to take a third one, maybe even a fourth one. That's how quickly they wear, these control electronics parts. But once we do get that third one, then we can reserve the other one for practice sessions and save some wear that way. So we'll try and get through just on 2. We'll of course work on the durability of those as well, as and when we can. But yeah, it's not ideal that we've had this situation come up already. Anyway, we get a chassis upgrade, a weight redistribution upgrade to the energy store cells positioning. So now we're going to do another weight redistribution upgrade to the engine cover. We have another department event. The aero department have been working on an upgrade. We get a 50% discount on the rear wing upper flap when we perform that upgrade, and they've been working hard on it, and we can throw a party for them for $20,000, or we can disagree, and it reduces their morale by 10%. We of course are going to go for the party. Jeff can go get some pizzas and everything is going to be great.
Thanks. I know these kinds of decisions can be challenging, but I think you made the right call.
Unfortunately, our upgrade on the heave dampers has failed, so we're going to need to repurchase that one as well. But other than that, then we'll just continue to go through the activity timeline, and it looks like that ICE improved materials upgrade will actually be on the car in time for Silverstone. So that is great, and that will reduce the wear for the rest of the season on the ICE. Not probably the most problematic component, but still one of the faster wearing ones, probably in the top 2 or 3 that you need to worry about. So yeah, we are definitely going to appreciate that. But other than that, then there is not a lot left to cover, so I will say thank you so much for watching. Feel free to give me some feedback if you have anything constructive, and I'll see you next time for the British Grand Prix. Goodbye.